Howdy, everybody. Welcome on into the cargo bay where it's time for a little bit of hobby talk.
Beta.
How you doing, BC?
I'm doing pretty good. I never know what I'm gonna do for my hobby talk. That one came as a listening, but I said it. It didn't really match up, but we're just gonna roll with it.
I think it was like a
You know?
yodel where you were listening for the echo.
I was.
Hobby talk. There it went.
There was.
There it was.
Flying through the cargo bay. We are on very opposite ends of the ship, so sometimes sound takes a while to travel.
Yeah. We're far away in this big old cargo holler. But BC, as far as we are apart, we get to come together today and talk about Star Wars trading cards. Wouldn't you know?
What a surprise that's something we're doing.
We got a little less than we've had on the docket, but
Yeah.
This is a special episode. We are mostly highlighting Topps Now as
Yep.
as a product and concept in preparation for what we assume will be Ahsoka Topps Now cards. So if you want to skip to that portion of the show, I will have a pinned comment with a little timestamp. You can click and it'll zoom you right over there. So we're going to talk some current news and then we'll leave our Topps Now stuff for the end of the show, if that's okay.
It's okay by me. So
All
I think we've got permission to go forward, I'd say.
With your permission, BC, I am advancing the slide. And we're going to give our review, our grade, if you will, to the 2023 flagship product, which has now been out and circulated and ripped and bleep, blah, bleep, bleep, bleep.
Let's put a bow on this bad boy. You know what I'm saying? Because we've talked about it for a few weeks now. It's out there. Most people have it. I think we've got a pretty solid idea of what you can expect, what's out there, what's good, what could, use improvement. So we're going to go with sort of our overall review. We're going to break it down in some kind of categories here. So our first category is going to be image selection.
Yes.
Very important for any set is what is it that you're actually looking at? We have all been plagued by sets with images that we have seen 1,000 times in a Topps Star Wars set. So we know the plight of what that is. So let's talk image selection in our review. What did you think about the image selection across flagship?
BC, as you mentioned, we're used to not expecting much, seeing the same things over and over. So as far as what I'm used to in a Topps Star Wars product, this is a great image selection here. I'm going to grade this out of 10. BC, I'd give this image selection, if I'm grading on a PSA scale, I'm going to give it an 8. If I'm grading it on an SGC scale, I'm going to give it an 8.5. How about you, BC?
That. I like the range you're going at there, right? It's not we're not Jim minting this image selection. There's room for improvement.
Yeah.
But it's a solid 8. I think I would agree. There's great images in the base, even images across, inserts. We'll talk about that sort of stuff too. But like the SP images, like this Han Solo SP,
and
I love that.
Its base image is great too, something we haven't seen a ton of.
Yeah.
And they're all framed pretty well,
Yeah.
Well cropped images. There's some cool. There's a cool one of Bix that comes to mind. The short print of Vader in the hallway.
It's amazing. The Luke short print, which we raved about last week. We raved about that Luke short print. Again, these cards, we say short print, they're not incredibly rare.
No,
right? It is a hit, but there's so much of this printed that those are going to be everywhere. I do think those short print cards are very cool. That Luke in particular does stand out. The Vader is amazing. Like there's a lot of cool images in this, and it's nice that there's it seemed like at least a little more thought and care that went into some of the image selection for this being, whatever the flagship, whatever that means for Topps and for collectors. But like, let's put a little bit more thought and effort into it. And it does, you can feel that. So yeah, I'd say 8.5. It's nice.
Yeah, good work there, image selectors. I saw a job posting earlier this week. I'm looking for a job right now. If anyone's got any connections, I saw I think it was an Upper Deck job listing for someone who specifically sources images for trading cards and works with the card artists, you know. And I was like, that's a cool
Interesting.
job. And so
Yeah.
somebody's got that cool job over at Topps/Fanatics, and I think they did a good
Yeah.
job with this set.
Well done by them. So let's move on to just base card design. So we're
Yes.
taking outside, the idea of the images, but the actual borders, the backs of the cards. I mean, we can even get into the base parallels. What we think about that. So in terms of the overall design here, I'll bring up a base card. I'll just pull one since I've got one here.
Yeah.
And we can see them on the screen there too. But it's a nice thick border on there, I would say. You get a thick border around the character. It does give there's a kind of an effect, almost like a rainbow foil effect, even though it's not a rainbow foil finish, but it's got kind of a glow to it.
That's going to be a
I don't know.
negative for me, that kind of fake
That
lighting effect. Yeah.
yeah.
I just feel like it's not going to hold up over time as well if they try to keep continuity across the
Yeah.
sets. But
I don't know. I mean, I'll speak to it first. Whenever I first saw these, just as a flat image on the internet, I was like, I wasn't like blown away. I do like them more in hand. Again, this is a cheap paper product, right? This isn't a premium thing. But in terms of like just holding it eye appeal, it's a simple enough design that I think it works for me. But again, it's not blowing me away. I'd probably put it a PSA 7 for me. The backs are cool. It replicates the image from the front. But it's nothing crazy, nothing amazing, but I think overall it's a solid 7. This is not a bad grade from me. I think a 7's is a pretty decent grade.
I was gonna say the exact same thing, BC. This is a very good slash near mint overall base card design for me. I like simple borders, way to go. I think the text on the front looks good. I think the backs of the cards look nice. The descriptions, from what I've read, are pretty good. But it's not my favorite thing in the world. I wouldn't mind though if this was a flagship design forever. I don't think that's how they're gonna do it, but I wouldn't mind them just continuing this direction. Like I said, kind of the ding for me is I wish it was just a flat color for the border rather than having that kind of lighting effect.
The glow effect. Yeah, because the first time I opened it, you asked me if even just like the base had that, because it is that like effect that's around the border.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah.
it's not awful. It doesn't, offend me. I just prefer the simplicity of flat color on there. Get out of it.
Get out of here! Get out of here with these!
I did rip the first 5 base set cards. I
You
pulled
were
just in half.
you were so mad.
I was really
You were
upset.
so mad about that. But you got it out pretty quickly.
What about the
Get it out of your system.
parallels, VC? Before I
Parallels,
forget.
I love the parallels.
I like these, especially for the price point. They're not like, it's not as nice as a cracked ice chrome, card in my opinion, but they look good.
I have an incredible bias because I'm a green parallel collector.
Yes.
Weird thing about me, viewers of the Cargo Bay. But whenever I first saw that green parallels were going to be of 25 dollars, I was like, no. And then I saw this green foil of $4.99. I was like, yeah, because that's my bread and butter. You can pick these up for nothing, right? Not nothing, but they're not expensive.
No, very
and
reasonable.
I do think the greens look very cool. It's got that foily effect kind of all over it. I'm a big fan of it. You can kind of color match to some of them. So, I got a Padme that I pulled that's got orange that kind of matches her costume.
I love the oranges. They're also inexpensive. I got a Luthen for like $5. That's the card I wanted most out of this set. So that's great.
I'm a big fan of the parallels in terms of the base and what's offered there. I think I actually like the higher numbered parallels more than the lower numbered ones. That's just me personally. So yeah, I mean, maybe based off of that, maybe I bump it up to maybe 7.5, maybe even an 8 with those parallels. We're including it.
I like that.
But let's move on to the inserts.
Yeah,
I'm genuinely curious about your grade on these.
Yeah, there's a lot to love here. There's also some stuff to not love. I'm gonna say there are too many. There are too many inserts.
Yeah.
The insert sets are too big. Just because if you're trying to collect a master set, there's a lot to collect. But then again, I opened a super box. I got a complete base set minus one card. So
Ooh.
if you're opening a few boxes, I guess you got to have something to chase.
Yeah.
There, I don't love the lack of variation in the comic book set. I do like the lightsaber die cuts, except
Mhm.
for some continuity problems regarding Ahsoka's hilt,
Right.
and also some of as GI History Handbook mentioned. Why doesn't Vader have his lightsaber out? There are a few tiny nitpicks I have on some of
Sure.
this stuff, but as far as variety and I don't know, it's cool that the die cuts are plentiful and the wide vision cards. VC, I actually really
Oh.
like these wide vision poster cards. I'm gonna go with a 7 here. That's where I'm gonna land. Firmly a 7. I'm not even tempted to go 7.5, but I do have a good experience. Let me remind everyone out there, I like a 7. I'm happy at
Yeah.
7.
Listen, I'm in the market for 1977 PSA sevens. That's how
Hmm.
much I like the sevens.
Yeah,
I think they look good, and are budget friendly if you're poor, like maybe you and I are. But
I'm
yeah,
getting there,
seven.
VC.
Yeah, we're working our way. We're working our way to it. Um, yeah, I like that there's a variety. I do think it can be an overwhelming collection to try to like chase. And if you talk about like a true master set, going after like lenticulars and going
Oh
after
yeah,
the
lenticulars.
chosen ones, even those things,
Kyber crystal die
that's
cuts.
the I mean that's all like the real like chase of the product, right? Like
Yeah.
where you see, and we'll talk about value here in a second, but where you see that value kind of start to come back in this stuff is some of those chasier insert cards. Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. The point that you made about like the land cards is that taken on their own, it's not that great. If you have all 30, it's kind of a cool collection to have, but it is a lot to get 30. I
Yeah.
opened two super boxes and a blaster. I think I'm one card short of the land cards. I'm maybe
Okay.
one or two comic cover short, maybe one or two clashes short. So I
Gotcha.
have pretty much everything. I've got two full base sets out of it. But it can feel kind of like filler on
Yeah.
some of the inserts. Maybe if they cut back on the checklist a little bit on some of those might help. But yeah,
I An improvement for me would be I do like those location cards as an encyclopedia, but if they didn't have parallels of those so that that's not winding up being your hit. I don't know, maybe there's someone out there who really wants a Tatooine of 50 or whatever. But
right. Yeah.
I think that's also to the set's detriment. Less so with the
Yeah.
comic covers maybe, but if one of your hits winds up being a location card, what are they called? Galactic. It's like galactic I can't remember what the insert set is called exactly, but
Drop it in the comments if you know it, because we don't.
sorry, it's a big set.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge, huge set. I'll probably follow suit with the 7 on this, just because the stuff that I like, I really like. The stuff that I don't like, I'm like, take it or leave it. But it's fun building the set. Like I enjoy like I'm gonna chase those like 5 cards that I
Yeah,
need, just so I can have it completed. I'm not gonna go after the more short print stuff, but I think it's fun to put in the binder and collect and stuff. And I'll say that as we transition into our final thing, which is what I think really ties all of this together is the value.
that's
The
right, BC.
value of
That's right,
this.
BC. You just said you got 2 out of 2 super boxes, bringing that's $110 plus a blaster, which was what, $20. So
20M.
for the price of less than a box of Mandalorian Beskar Chrome, you have 2 base sets, almost a I guess you can't call it a master set because of the
Yeah.
lenticulars maybe, but
Yeah.
that's a lot of cards
Hmm.
for the price, and that's also I don't know. You also pulled parallels out of those boxes. You pulled a lenticular out of one of your boxes. Um,
I pulled the lenticular and the AKA chosen one that I had. Those two cards alone, I was able to sell those to try to get. I'm working towards another card that I want. Cover basically the cost of a super box.
That's
right?
awesome.
So 2 cards out of 3 things that I opened covered almost an entire super box. And if you grind on this stuff and you pull right, you can make up your cost. You can make a little bit of money. Obviously, that's not primarily what we're focused on in terms of our collection is the making money thing. But the thing that when I want to talk about value in this product is that I don't feel like I'm getting kicked in the nuts when I open a $55 box of cards.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed opening 24 packs of cards, a giant wide vision thing, and knowing that it cost $55 and wasn't 250 or 300 bucks.
Yeah.
I felt like I got my money's worth out of the experience of opening the box. Even if the cards that I got I can't sell for $55. I never expect that, right? Like that's not my expectation going in. But my value is the experience of opening the cards. And I really liked it and I enjoyed it. The second super box, I pulled an amazing wide vision of Narkina 5 from Andor. And that's a shelf piece for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That lives on the shelf now. Like that to me in terms of value is like, you could try to buy that off of me, and if the price is right, I might do it. But like, you're gonna have to go way above what the market would value that card just because I like it so much. Like it's going. You talked about your card garden last week. It is part of the card garden for me as my Andor stuff that I'm putting together. Right, is that Narkina 5 wide vision card, which looks so good. So for me, value is. I'm PSA 10ing this. This is a Gem Mint 10 value. Yeah. Guess what? I'm not a rich person, so if I can get a product that makes me like really enjoy it and open it and not feel like I am getting squarely kicked in the nuts whenever I open it, I am on board for this. I know other people will say this isn't for me. I don't care. I love that this is not expensive. You get cool cards. It's fun. I don't know. Just personally, I like it a lot for the value.
I will say this is the highest value I've gotten out of a box since we started collecting. I think this is the best value on a box of modern Star Wars cards since you and I began collecting Star Wars cards. That said, I'm still gonna put this at an 8, strictly because I'm on the side of the consumer, baby, and I don't think we're ever gonna get a 10 out of Fanatics. I would always appreciate more, whatever that means. But I do think this very well might be the high watermark for a while. I hope that they can follow suit with Flagship next year. I'm pleased. I will give a little spoiler. I've been releasing my super box packs as shorts, but my highlight was pulling out of my box. I got a Mando of 199, and it's not an incredibly valuable card, but sure was fun pulling this guy. I don't usually pull cool cards or cool characters. When I do, it's always Mando. So I'm happy.
Mando. I'm a solo guy. You know what I mean? Like for whatever reason they gravitate to us. I don't know.
Some sort of magnetism here in the cargo bay, but this is staying in my PC. It's going in my card garden. I don't sell cool Mando cards that I get because I like the cards. But
So I think overall good. We're obviously positive on the product. It doesn't hurt that it's inexpensive. Let us know what your grades are down in the comments. Let us know what you think. We've appreciated you guys and gals and whoever's out there watching. Commenting, letting us know what you think about it. Hit us with a grade. Let us know what you think. Give us your overall PSA grade. And before I forget, hey, like and subscribe if you're still watching. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it would really help us out. We'd like it a lot. Makes us feel good.
We'd like it a lot. Please help us feel good.
Yeah, thanks everybody for leaving kind comments and insightful comments on these videos. BC, what does that bring our overall score to? I'm not going to do an average here. What do we put this at? An 8?
I think we're sitting solidly at an 8 on this product. Yeah.
And that's a good. This is a vintage 8. This is not a modern 8. This is a good 8.
This is a vintage 8. Yeah. When you talk about the cargo bay, you're talking about a vintage PSA grade. When you're talking about us, yeah. You want to hit on to the next slide? We got something exciting coming direct from Papa Papa T and Father Fanatics this week.
I have these out of order, BC. Dr. Quadpaw is actually card number 440. Marva is card 439. Gonna be picking these up, BC, because I'm getting all the Andor cards they can throw my way, and of course love both Quadpaw and Marva.
One, his name's Dr. Quadpaw and he's got 4 arms. It's one of my favorite things about Star Wars is, if you see a thing, just name it. It's like, Quadpaw, done. And an amazing rendering of Marva.
Super cool.
Amazing. Yeah.
Super cool of Marva, and also just that screw driving away and Nimic's back there.
What are those other 3 arms doing while that one's,
stretching holes, I think.
Yeah. He's the surgeon you want in a pinch, but he can't always.
He can't bring people back from being crushed by Capital.
Yeah. Speaking of spoiler alerts, spoiler, we are not recording this at our. So unfortunately, we're not going to be bringing you your sweet Throwback Thursday set. We don't know what it is, so
check it out.
Go check it out. Yeah, I did get my the 2 Ahsokas and the Obi-Wan. No parallels, sadly, but the cards look great. Big fan. Glad I picked those up. But yeah, go to the old website on Topps if you want to see what's happening on their Throwback Thursday this week.
Yeah, a little peek into the sausage factory. We're recording this not early in the morning, and I feel weird. I feel much more like I'm talking about cards instead of just being loopy.
I've got this sort of awake energy right now, which
I don't know if
it's not always the case. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Let us know in the comments if you prefer this energy or our normal sleepy morning energy.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the next slide. I can't remember what's here. Oh, it's our poll, BC.
Yes.
We had 19 votes at the time of this this record of the results here. So
yeah,
I'll just read it.
I think it's a runaway. The results are a runaway. We can all see it.
Yeah, it wasn't at first. At first, it was very balanced, but sure enough, the 1-of-1 took it away. The question is, there's a rare Rey Skywalker in your next pack of Star Wars cards. Which would you rather pull? A Daisy Ridley autograph, a 1-of-1 parallel, a sketch card from a popular artist, or a screen-used fabric relic? And that's screen-used. I'm not talking sourced fabric.
We're not talking that Jamuki source fabric stuff that we're all used to seeing, where they go down to the fabric store and say, "This kind of looks like something that Jyn Erso wore." So we're talking worn on-screen costume fabric relic.
Yeah,
no love. No love.
I mean,
I think that's probably one vote. Yeah.
Got a vote there. Only one for the sketch card. I was surprised. I thought sketch card would be in the running for sure,
Yeah.
Because as far as value, you pull a certain artist out of there, you might have a high dollar card. Of course, Daisy Ridley autographs aren't cheap either. As pointed out in the comments on this post, she's young. She's going to be signing Star Wars stuff forever. That's probably not going to skyrocket in value anytime soon. So what do people want? It seems like overwhelmingly they want a 1-of-1. You can take that 1-of-1 to a convention someday, maybe. Send it into a signing. So if you're, a huge Daisy Ridley fan, maybe you just want that 1-of-1. There is something special about a 1-of-1 BC. Even a paper, I didn't say a superfractor, I said a 1-of-1. Even a paper 1-of-1, you own the card, that's your card.
Here's the deal, full transparency. I did vote, not with the Cargo Bay's official account. I did vote. I did vote for the 1-of-1 because I myself still have never pulled or even tangentially owned a 1-of-1. So, I think that would be something I would get excited about. Be a, a Rey 1-of-1.
Yeah, that'd be rad to have. So there you go. We'll have another poll up at some point. I'll try to make it less one that I just pull out of thin air at the last moment, but so keep your eyes on that community tab for that. And here we go. On to the next slide. Here's our comment or question of the week from Comic Book Curator 68. Great video, level 5 sets of this. This is from our set guide for the 1977 Series 4 Goldenrod video. Check that out. Level 5 sets of this. I have some of each set. Question: are y'all going to cover the Burger King and Wonder Bread sets? Great channel, guys, even though this episode was rated R. So curious about that rated R episode. Check out that video. But what do you think, BC?
I don't know if we would. I don't know if it would be something we do as a full set guide, just because they're so small. But I do think it's something, because if you go outside of like the Topps main line releases, there's a lot of weird stuff, that's out there. But I do think if we did like an oddities kind of set at some point, or highlighted some of those oddities, I think that would be definitely something that we would look into. But I feel like the set guides are more for like official Topps mainline releases, but I think as sort of a set guide for oddities, I think it's a good idea.
I think once we finish the original trilogy, Star Wars cards releases, maybe we do one big video that kind of highlights a bunch of the stuff out there. I really like those postcard sized Topps / some other company in Japan. Like, they're just bigger, nicer printed versions of some of the Topps images, and then the Wonder Bread and whatever. But there's stuff out there outside of Topps, and we will touch on it at some point. But as you know, Topps sends us a big check every week.
Every single week. They're just like, you just keep pumping those Throwback Thursday cards, fellas, and we'll cut you in on the profit. That's not true.
No.
That's impossible. Sadly, it's impossible. Yes. So in the spirit of the comments and questions slide we've got here, leave us a comment below if you want to be featured on the next Hobby Talk. Yeah. Leave us a question if you want to ask something. We'd be more than happy to feature it, because it gives us something to talk about. Yeah. And we like engaging with y'all, and our cargo babies. We appreciate it.
BC, since we're hot on the heels of PewDiePie or whoever is the most famous YouTuber, at some point we got to do one of those. We got to do one of those. Mr. Beast, Mr. Beastman, and Cutie Tootie.
I see Beastman and Cutie Pie all over the place. I don't know what any of them mean. What's going on?
What I was saying is we got to do a classic YouTube FAQ video at some point.
Yeah, that's classic, and I knew that.
It's good for the engagement, BC.
We got to get the engagement. Okay, great. We'll do one of those.
Let us know in the comments how excited you are for American Talker. It's coming soon.
See, if you're still here and you guys and gals aren't commenting on American, I'm going to be slightly disappointed.
American Talker is the American Chopper podcast.
Yeah, we're going to be investing heavily, both time and financially, into that project. So let's go now. Let's cut all the hokum. All right, enough fun. Let's get down to brass tacks here. You and I. Let's talk serious Star Wars stuff. You did some fantastic research for me, for the viewers. We're going to start talking Topps now, because specifically we are expecting, of course, as Ahsoka comes out next week, everyone, I'm excited. I know a lot of y'all are excited too. The anticipation of that show is also the anticipation of some Topps Now sets coming out featuring the episodes from Ahsoka, it's 8 episodes, right? Am I getting that correct?
I'm not sure. I would assume, BC.
I think it's 8, so there'll be 8 sets of likely 5 cards coming out. So
yeah,
let's just take a look at what some of that means.
Yeah, I just want to give a brief overview of what Topps Now is. It's another print-on-demand set that happens as things are happening. They're right in the moment cards. So depending on how many are ordered, that's how many are printed. Like you said, they're usually 5-card per episode sets when it comes to Star Wars. Topps Now does all kinds of, they got soccer cards, baseball cards, they do political cards, which is weird. So anyway, you can buy all kinds of Topps Now stuff, but our experience with Topps Now Star Wars, just wanted to say we've both bought full sets of certain Topps Now shows, right?
Yep, I did Kenobi, so I've got all of the Kenobi set.
I did 2 of Kenobi, because I was parallel hunting, which we'll get to on the next slide.
And then I did do Andor from the trailer through, which is probably one of the things I'm happiest that I have done.
Yeah.
Especially if we don't get an actual Andor set. That's something I'm hanging my hat on. that I did at least get the tops now of the Andor.
So
Again, it's maybe not the most collectible of stuff, but in terms of mass appeal for card collectors or Star Wars audiences, but we love Andor, so I was like, I gotta do it.
yeah, I wish I would have done that as well, BC. But as a good segue, while I did not get the full set of Andor, I did pick up some parallels from Andor, and this is relatively new. I can't remember what was. I think maybe Obi-Wan was the first show, or maybe it was Mando season. I don't know. I think it might have been Obi-Wan. But for a long time, Topps now, at least for Star Wars shows, there were no parallels. And then they
Yeah.
introduced, and what seems to have continued, of 50, which are usually blue, of 10s, which are usually red, and then one of one golds. I have examples here. And so when
Yeah,
I did, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say it definitely upped the game for that, like the hunt factor when they're like, hey, if we give some parallels in here, it does incentivize the chase more too, for sure.
Yeah, I'm a sucker, and I love a color match.
Yeah.
And I've selected some images here that are beautiful, beautiful color matches. So when Obi-Wan was coming out, I was really hyped for Obi-Wan. And of course, you don't know what the show is going to be like when you go in, deciding if you're going to go in on the set. And I said, I'm going to commit to getting 2 of each episode to try to pull some parallels. And then I'll try to sell, a full set. So we'll get into kind of what the sales prices are for that later. But
Sure.
I did get I bought one of these blue ones for pretty cheap on eBay.
Nice.
That I've got on the screen. Love that image. I pulled a blue parallel. I pulled 2 blue parallels. I sold one. And then on Andor, I paid too much money, but really wanted some of these reds. I got a couple of reds from Andor because I didn't get the full set. But that's about my experience. I picked up some random Mandalorian episodes here or there if I really like the episode. I did want to mention these cards look beautiful on the screen. The last set of Visions Topps Now cards I got, very clear images. But in my experiences, the images on these cards, the print quality, they're pretty dark. They're not always like crystal clear. Has that been your experience, BC? I've been pretty disappointed sometimes getting these in and being like, these are pretty muddy looking.
It does feel kind of hit or miss sometimes, depending on, we talked about image selection. Sometimes the quality of that print comes off and it's just lacking in terms of what your expectations might be, or like our expectations might be, compared to a major print run that goes into packs and that sort of stuff. Probably just due to the on-demand nature of the printing of it. Like the card stock feels good, but sometimes the actual quality of the print is hit or miss.
They all have a nice little I don't think I can get it to pick up on my low quality camera, but they have a little Topps logo on the back that reflects kind of like something you'd see on a credit card or something. So they're nice card stock, and depending on the set, good images, bad images. Something we should talk about. You and I are not huge card investors. I occasionally pick up a card because I'm like, I want to get this while I can. But these, if you're really into first appearance cards, or like this is a first card produced of a certain character, this is where you're gonna find it. The trailer set. There's a Mandalorian season 1 trailer set, which I don't even think has the Topps Now logo on the card, but it was sold as a Topps Now product. Those are, worth some money. That season 1 Mando is worth some money. We'll get into, should you buy Ahsoka because it's going to be worth tons of money or not?
To the moon!
Yeah. But if you're into that, keep an eye on this. Just because I don't know. I do think I have one of one from a Vision set that I liked that I was able to get pretty cheap. Again, I think it's cool to have I have the Brasso here. I have a parallel of the first card ever made of Brasso. I think that's kind of cool. So let's look at some of the prices here, BC.
Yeah.
Now these are usually, they kind of fluctuate, but they're usually $20, $25 a pop. You can get free shipping on them. You can get them cheaper on eBay because people are going to be hunting for parallels. So you can usually someone will buy in bulk and sell off what's not parallels. But are you going to get tons of your money back if you're buying a bunch and selling? And my general answer is no, but you can make some of your money back. I'm looking at the eBay price guides. This is just Topps Now Star Wars in general. And you can see there's a big old spike over here, which I'm not sure what that was, if that was someone, or people prospecting Ahsoka perhaps out of Topps Now. But generally, it's not, you're not going to be making money on any of the base cards unless you got Mandalorian Season 1. If you were into Mandalorian Season 1 before the card market boomed, maybe you got, those cards are worth some money. Episode sets of those are worth some money. Looking at blue parallels. Now, the parallels are new on the market. I would say this average value of $20 is about right. Sometimes you can pick up a cool image for $3 of a cool character if you catch the right auction. Other times people will buy a card now for $30. It's a blue parallel if it's something they want and haven't been able to find. So not crazy value, but it's there.
I will say out of my full set collection from the Topps Now, both with Kenobi and Andor, I got one blue parallel total out of each set. So two total, but I got one blue Reva, I think, out of the Kenobi, and then I got an Arcana 5, like the planet, like the prison, like floating in the water, out of 49. So, it's likely you'll probably get a parallel, but it's also, it's really investing in buying into the sets, which can be expensive. And if you do go for the cheaper sets on eBay, expect them to have already been picked clean, right? Yeah. You're not going to be getting those parallels from them. But if you just want the sets for less than Topps is selling them, same thing with all of these. There are people who will just buy these in bulk and sell them, for a slight profit margin and pass that discount on to you.
Yeah. And that's obviously your chances at a parallel will vary as to how many people go in on the set. With my two sets of Obi-Wan, I was wrong. I actually got 3 parallels. I forgot. I had one sandwich in the middle. They were all blue. I got the Inquisitors arriving. Another thing, you might pull a blue parallel that's not a good image at all. That'll happen. The image selection on these Topps Now cards is sometimes baffling to me, where it's like, did you just want to not use up the cool parts of the episode?
like there are way cooler parts of this episode that are not featured in this card set.
Not just someone having a conversation in the distance at a table or whatever. I got the Omega of Obi-Wan meeting Luke. Was
yes.
one that I sold. But the point is, you can probably buy the card you want in a blue for about the cost of an episode. If it's a really cool card, maybe 2 episodes, maybe I don't know. Maybe there's some crazy card, like maybe that Vader in blue or something is harder to find. But for the most part, you're not going to be hitting it rich with a blue. And then moving on to the reds, the of 10s. It says the average price is $43. That's kind of true to what I've seen. You'll see a lot of these sitting on eBay with high asking prices, and I mean, I'll tell you, I paid at least $30 for this Brasso. This wasn't a cheap card. To me, it was worth it because I saw this handsome man from my favorite show, and I was like, I gotta have him. I gotta
get that Brasso.
But moving on, BC, maybe I shouldn't have, because if we look at the one of ones, the golds, there was a recent sale of this card, which I could no longer afford. The one of one went for $75, which is pricey, but it is a one of one first appearance in gold. You're not looking at crazy money here. I have seen some high sales on ones that featured Anakin and Obi-Wan together from the Obi-Wan show. I mean, there is a market for these, but there there's not, as far as I can tell, a ton of people foaming at the mouth going, I want this Topps Now first appearance card. It's kind of muddy. So
Yeah.
What's it worth? What someone will pay for it.
And I came so close to bidding on that Brasso too, but
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I was like, there's something I probably want more. And right now, based off of how I'm currently watching eBay, I'm glad I didn't spend that $75 on the Brasso, because like that's money I can still have in my bank account for something else. You know what I mean? But
I would move some
at that
cards.
price, I would not have been.
I would move some cards to try to get a bid on that card. I was sad to see that card go for under 100. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I guess I got that. I got my 1 of 1 from the Spy Dancer. I got that for 50. I sold a card immediately after to pay for it, and I love having that. I don't know. It just feels cool to have that 1 of 1. So I do get the appeal, but like I said, these aren't super fractors, folks, as far as I can tell. Maybe that'll change. Maybe the first Ahsoka, I guess their Book of Boba Fett Ahsoka cards, but that's another thing. Moving on, we look at, this is 130point.com. These are the highest sales recently on Topps Now Star Wars. I think there are some cards missing here, but look at this. We have a full set of I think that's probably Visions went for 250, sure. But what I want to highlight here is here's a pristine grade from Beckett of a blue Obi-Wan and Anakin that sold for 205. I mean, that's a gold label, so
those are very rare. That's a premium you're paying for the label. Yeah.
We have a Mandalorian season 3 plus the trailer complete set sold for 150. And so that's 8 episodes, 8 times 20. You know, they're not taking a big loss on selling that full set.
Yeah.
We have, now here's an interesting thing though, BC. Speaking of Visions, that Ronin set, the first episode of Star Wars Visions, it's hard to find.
Yeah.
Those are ones where people have been like, oh, I want those because that was a great episode. And the Visions, I think, are kind of like that, where it's like you might never get other cards of this again.
I will say my sleeper picks for stuff that is collectible and hard to find, that's really niche, are the Vision stuff, because I love some of those ones, and there's a market for those, and there's not a lot of those printed. The other one, if you're a fan of the books, the High Republic did a sort of on-demand print set of the character cards that they later did into the finest insert set. But those all originally come from a Topps Now on-demand thing that they did.
And those have
those
parallels.
Are very hard to yes, they do, and they're hard to find.
Those might have been the
they
first
do not
parallels.
come up for sale very often.
No, did I tell you, BC? I don't think I did. I got finally, because I told you I got it, but it took forever to ship. I bought a complete set of that for a great price compared to what the market is. It shipped from overseas, and it got here, BC. This is someone who bought tons of these sets because every single card was super off center. This was like their trash pile that they had compiled and sent my way.
Gotcha.
So I do have all those. They're really, really off center.
No. Yeah,
I also had the Lorna D 25 of 25.
Yeah, you made me privy to a listing on Facebook where I got it for way less than some of the previous eBay sales and auctions were at. So I snapped it up too, because I really liked the High Republic stuff. But again, that's such a small market, but hard to find, but is definitely collectible.
And I'll say this. I'm not saying these are gonna balloon in value, but at least in my experience, if I want trading cards of weird expanded universe stuff from the 90s, it's pricey. And I think maybe someday, like if you want that High Republic set, it's going to be more than it is now. Or maybe the world will be on fire and no one will buy anything.
No one cares about Star Wars trading cards anymore. We're living in a Mad Max Fury Road sort of situation. We're burning the cards for fuel.
Yeah. So who knows? I'm gonna hide our faces for a second to point out this bottom listing. That's me, BC. That's me selling my spare Obi-Wans down here. So this is a full set of Obi-Wan, and I also sold the Omega of Obi-Wan meeting Luke. So that sold for $135. I think it was free shipping I put on that. So again, I lost some money, but I also kept the parallels that I pulled. So not a terrible move. All right, moving on. Here we go. These are just some interesting things I've put together here to show like how varied things are, right? Here's the Mandalorian season 2 plus trailer complete set sold for $100. And here you have a blue of a famous actor sold for $6. You know, it's a color match. Nobody cares about that episode. And then this is, I believe, the first live action Ahsoka card from Mandalorian season 2, from the episode where Ahsoka shows up. This is a SGC 10. Someone paid $20 to grade this thing. It sold after 8 bids for $7.50. So, yeah, it's you know, I wouldn't go in pouring tons of money into these cards, you know, necessarily. Nope. So I guess, should you buy Ahsoka when it comes out? Yeah, if you want the cards for your collection, I think is the that's the moral of the story. Andor cards are a little bit more expensive per episode than they were at release, I think, BC. It's hard to find those for less than $30 an episode, so not a crazy markup, but you know, there is potential for something to climb. But I think a lot of people are, if these Ahsoka cards go on sale, there are going to be a lot of people who buy a ton of these to sell on eBay for years and years. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously I don't know if I'm a huge Ahsoka fan, so I'm excited about the show. But even like the prospect, like the idea of logging on to Topps every week and dropping $20 for this, I'm kind of like, that's going to be $160 for 8 episodes of this, you know? So it is kind of like, it's a lot to ask. And it's like, I do feel like they are certainly going to make an Ahsoka specific series set for these. So it's like, is my $160 better served like saving it and then waiting until the official Ahsoka, you know, collector's 10 8-pack, whatever they decide to do, comes out and spending on that, or investing in the weekly set? To me, it's just going to depend on if I think the cards look cool, you know? Like, I'm not speculating on Sabine Wren's first live appearance, rookie card to the moon. I just don't think that's what's going to happen to that particular card, as evidenced by the Ahsoka live action first appearance not really taking off. Like, maybe there will be some interest when Thrawn's card comes out, but is it going to be as much interest as his first card from the 90s? Like, no, probably not. It's not going to be as valuable or as collectible. So, I mean, if you are in it for speculation, I would say don't get your hopes up. If you're in it for collecting, you're probably going to get some pretty cool cards. You know what I mean? But they're expensive, and definitely don't expect to make your money, because that's not what Topps is in the business of doing.
No. And also, this is a weird thing to go crazy grading, because they come in a very well protected package. They're all going to be close to a 10, if not a 10. Whether or not I have gone in on these has largely been dictated by, are there other Star Wars cards to buy, right? And, you know, is there a current set coming out? When there's a dry spell between sets, it's been really fun to get a package in the mail and be like, ooh, maybe I have a parallel in here. You know, like, you don't rip a pack. It's a little cardboard box that then has a plastic container in that you say, ooh, do I have 5 cards or 6? Because if I have 6 cards, I got a hit, you know?
That's the first thing I did when I got my Throwback Thursday set this week. I was like, 3 or 4. 3 or 4. Oh, 3.
Man, 3. I wish, I wish it was 4.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think these cards are kind of fun
Yeah.
if you're interested in the specific things. So there you
Yes.
go. There's my. Oh wait, I have one more slide here, which I guess is just to highlight that. Yeah, here's a Mandalorian season 1 is the peak of the market. You got specific episodes selling between 50 and 70 bucks. So that's I don't think that's going to happen again because again collectors are aware now. The market popped
Yep.
off. Maybe the bubble has burst a little bit. Maybe it'll burst
Yeah.
further, but people are aware
Yeah.
and card
I don't
retailers are
know.
going to buy a lot of these and keep them in stock. So
I mean, for me, just thinking about it's like I would rather go in and buy secondhand off eBay and just know I'm not going to get a parallel and pay less for it
yeah,
for
and
Ahsoka. That's
take
just
that
kind of how I
extra
feel.
money and then buy the one parallel you want because I don't think
Yep.
you should expect to get more than one parallel out of your
One,
run.
yeah.
So buy them
And
cheap
it
and then buy
I'm
a card you want.
probably harder to get it from Ahsoka because they're gonna make more of it because I think people are gonna buy more of this than Andor, right?
Yeah,
Like some
yeah,
of those Andor print runs are very low
yeah.
relative to other things, you know. So yeah. I appreciate you putting that together, especially knowing that we've got a huge new show coming out that Topps is going to be pumping the crap out of on their website on a weekly basis. As I struggle to make the decision on whether this is something I will buy or not, but I might talk myself into going the eBay route. You know.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad idea, BC. I am looking for a job if anyone has any connections. So I will not be picking these up. I don't believe, but I'm excited to see what images they select. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see that show coming out soon. Uh I've because the strike is on, boy oh boy is Star Wars releasing a ton of trailers for Ahsoka. I've seen like 9 different cuts with different little tidbits from that show because they don't have actors out on a press tour.
Yep. Which
And
is your daily reminder to pay your creative people fairly.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
we need those people to make the things that we love.
Yes, we do. Desperately, desperately, we do. And with that, I just want to say thank y'all for sticking with us. If you're still here, and by golly, if you haven't liked and subscribed, just take a moment to go ahead and do it. You know, we appreciate it. Again, appreciate all your comments. For those of you who are reaching out to the email, I've got the email password now too. I'm checking that email,
Ooh,
baby. I'm looking at it.
nice.
Our email's being monitored actively. We are the Cargo Bay Pod at protonmail.com. If you want to drop us a line, ask us a question, share your card garden, share photos of your collection, anything you might want featured on there. Hey, and if, like I said, if you're still with us, just say in that email subject line, still with you, still with you.
Love it, BC. Thank you for checking that email, and thanks again to all y'all. Sorry if this was a little rambly. It's a lot more info than we usually present on the
Hey,
cargo van.
hey, this was a just a well honed machine today. I thought,
Yeah, yeah, we
you
got
know,
that afternoon energy, BC. You know
yeah.
what I think it's time for? I think it's time for a classic swoop, BC.
You ready for it?
I'm ready.
Shoom.
Beautiful.
Nailed it.
That was a 10. That was a PSA 10 swoop.
Swoop.